Greetings to our viewers at home. Welcome back to our book reading segment known as Ufundo Lwencwadi. We are still continuing with our book titled Memoirs of a 28-year-old Damsaka Ukubambata by Zizipho Penelope Languza-Maku. Today we'll be reading chapter 7 that is titled Eating Disorder, Losing Weight and Getting Robbed. Eating disorder and losing weight. I have had an eating disorder since I was about 10 years old. I didn't realize that it was an eating disorder until later in life, regardless of comments that people would make about how much I ate. I never even knew that there was anything like an eating disorder. I simply thought that I was someone with a big appetite. But I got to have a deeper understanding of what an eating disorder was when I started watching My 600-Pound Life, where Dr. Yonen Nauzaraden helps people who are morbidly obese not only to lose weight but deal with the psychological issues behind their eating disorders. I had no idea it could get that bad. I was slender for most of my life, and I remained slender even when I had been eating continuously. Watching My 600-Pound Life gave me a different perspective on what I was dealing with. I saw myself in Dr. Nauzaraden's patients. They spoke about how as soon as they woke up, they fantasized about what to eat, way before everyone else was up. How? As soon as they had eaten, they would start to imagine how the next meal would taste and what they would like to have as the next meal. This was right after the last bite of the first meal of the day. In other words, they would think about the next meal while being full on the previous meal. They could not help but imagine the next meal. They shared how they would be happy if they could just eat all day without getting full or fat. Eating provided comfort for them. If they were sad, they wanted to eat. If they were angry, they wanted to eat. If they were happy, they wanted to eat. If they were excited, disappointed, tired, or bored, they wanted to eat. That was me. Except, again, that I was slender. I had a fast metabolism, and the eating disorder had not taken over my life in the form of weight gain or caused me to be morbidly obese just yet. But I knew that if I continued to allow myself to eat like I was eating, I would get to a point of no return. However, I still could not stop eating. There was no way I was going to wake up the following day in charge of things and with a new mindset. It would certainly take time, and indeed it took time. After I'd given birth to my firstborn daughter, my metabolism became slower than before. I started gaining weight. I knew that I was no longer going to get away with constantly eating anything and everything. My body was starting to scream for help. I had, for the longest time, been able to hide behind the fast metabolism, but I was not going to be able to hide anymore. I had to do something about it. So, after my daughter was born, I started jogging. First to lose weight, then to maintain the target weight. I would not be able to lose weight just by jogging. I had to put some effort into my eating habits and control my uncontrollable cravings. I put my mind to jogging and eating right, and things got better. I lost weight and kept it maintained. I had 2 more children and gained a fair amount of weight with each of them. The youngest 2 children are only a year and 6 months apart. Between the second and third child, I never had time to lose weight. So I gained baby weight on top of baby weight, and I was at my biggest. I know that my heaviest weight might not seem so big to other people, but it was big to me. I hardly wanted to go out because I did not love my body at all. I hated the idea of taking a bath every day because I would get tired from just standing for 5 minutes in the shower. I did not want to walk anywhere because my feet would get sore. I just did not want to do anything. I also asked myself why I was like that, because I have family members and friends who are chubby and much bigger than me and have all the energy in the world. They were confident and beautiful. However, I thought that maybe it was because most of the family members and friends had those bodies all their lives. I was struggling with accepting myself because I did not know how to have a bigger body. It was hard for me to go into the store and fit clothes and return them to the shelves to get bigger ones, and they still would not fit, when previously I would walk into the store and look for the smallest possible size I could find, and it would fit. I had a hard time having to worry about how my belly fat would look in clothes, when previously I never had belly fat. I could wear anything, anytime, and I never had to worry about anything. On top of that, I had to endure comments from people who knew me from when I was younger. The comments would range from, "You've gained weight," "You are fat," "You must lose weight," to, "This cannot possibly be Zizipho. Are you Zizipho? What happened to you?" Imagine being told you are not you. Others would comment in a jolly way to say, "You look happy," because in my culture, sometimes weight gain is seen as a sign of happiness. Similarly, being thin may be seen as a sign of being unhappy and of not eating enough. Other comments would be mean. I was not even that fat. I weighed about 53 kgs most of my life, and at my heaviest after my last birth, I was 86 kgs. I have managed to lose up to 11 kgs, leaving me at 75 kgs, and that is where I am currently. I am much happier with myself because the aim was never to look the way I did before, but I just wanted to fit into a particular size and not have to worry about my belly fat. From the time I had my firstborn to the time I had my lastborn, meaning the time during which my weight fluctuated, I was using my towel minimally for the certain reasons and then stopped. Food cravings were still perceptible, but I was able to maintain my weight by jogging and watching what I ate. However, after my lastborn, I started using the towel more often due to the stress of unemployment, employment, and moving to a new city, and all the changes that came with it. I noticed that whenever I used my towel, my cravings dwindled. I also suspected that it could have been the fact that the towel kept me busy. When I would bambata, I would rather not do anything else. I'd rather not eat, drink, or do anything else that required me to use my hands. So, if I was home and I decided that I would just take an hour to bambata, I would rather just do that. When I was done, I would usually feel calm and neutral. If I was happy or sad, then I would just feel neutral. For me, being sad or happy were the two reasons why I would want to eat most of the time. There were other reasons wanting to eat, such as being angry, nervous, but most of the time I would feel sad or happy. Feeling neutral reduced the urge for me to eat. It would reduce it so much that when I decided that I wanted to eat something and thought about the food, I would not have that much of a craving. I could think about all the nice food in the world and I would just not have an appetite. If I finally got the hang of what I wanted to eat, I would just eat a little of it and feel full and have absolutely no desire to eat until I felt hungry. Using my towel was so effective that even when I forced myself to think of food and imagine anything I would like to eat, it just would not be tempting at all. I would see pictures of food on social media, appetizing pictures indeed, but I just would not feel tempted like I would have been years ago when I was not using the towel or when I was using it minimally. Getting robbed. At some point during the year 2018, I moved to the Western Cape to search for a job. I moved in with my sister, who had moved there with her husband about 2 years earlier. I started looking for jobs and managed to find one within 2 weeks of moving to the Western Cape. I was teaching English to Chinese students on an online platform. It was not my ideal job, but it was what was available at the time, and I continued to live with my sister after getting a job because I was not earning much. So, I opted to contribute to the rent instead whenever I could, and my sister did not mind. I started to jog to lose weight. I would jog at the Muizenberg beach, which was just a 5-minute walk away from my sister's apartment. Initially, I had jogged with a lady who was staying with my sister, a friend. Then eventually, I jogged alone. I was so determined. I woke up in the morning to go for a jog before going to work, and on days when I worked an early shift, I came home and jogged in the afternoons. It was so refreshing. I enjoyed the sea breeze. I enjoyed being determined to get the body I wanted. I had to convince myself to calm down and not jog every day to allow my body to rest. On a particular day, I woke up early because I had an early shift, and I knew that I would then go and jog that afternoon. As soon as I got back from work, I changed into my running clothes and off I went to the beach. Some days I would run on the beach, and some days I would run in the parking area as there were hardly any cars there. There was no formula for when I would run by the beach and when I would run by the beach parking area. It just depended on the day when I wanted to run, and I would run where I chose. So that afternoon, I ran in the parking area. I ran, and just as I was about to conclude my run, I noticed an old van in the parking area opposite the one I was running in. It looked like it had an issue because the driver had the bonnet open. It seemed like he was trying to fix it. In no time, I had stopped running and was about to walk home when the driver of the van pulled up in front of me. At this point, I did not even know where he had come from. I was not paying attention to him. 1 minute he was fixing the car in the parking area opposite me, and the next minute he was right in front of me. He politely asked if he could use my phone to make a phone call because his car was giving him problems and he needed to call someone to come and assist him. I immediately felt compassion towards him because he had a woman and a child in the car. I pulled my phone out of the pocket of my track pants and informed him that I just needed to buy airtime first, as I did not have airtime. He did not mind waiting. He said he also did not have airtime on his phone and did not have the means to buy it. I bought the airtime on my phone, then I handed it to him to make the call. He delayed calling the number and he appeared to be looking for it on his phone, but I was patient. I was calm. I did not think anything of the situation. I was standing next to the car the entire time. The next minute I blinked and he drove away. I almost laughed because I thought it was a joke, but I quickly came to my senses and realized it was not a joke. He was taking my phone. I remember running after the car and running faster than the van because it was old and rusty. I managed to get in front of the car to try to stop him, and he slowed down. I then ran towards the driver's seat and grabbed his arm as he drove away. I just wanted my phone back. He took the phone and gave it to the child in the middle. The child let out an evil laugh. The same laugh who could have laughed anyway. But what made it evil at that point was the situation. There was nothing to laugh about. His dad, uncle, brother, or whoever that man was to him was robbing me. And the child I had felt sorry for earlier was laughing in my face. The lady on the other side had a grin. For a moment I thought the child and the lady should at least defend me. That is how I managed to take a glimpse of their faces within seconds. With the car moving away and me running next to it, holding onto the driver's arm while he tried to shake me off. I quickly thought to myself, he might kill me. I should let his arm go because he might run me over somehow. I let go and off they went with my phone. I stood there with my arms over my head. I could not believe what had just happened to me. There were few people in the parking area, but everything happened so fast that nobody saw what had happened. It was only when I had my hands over my head that people started asking about what had happened. I told them that I just got robbed and they could not believe it. There was nothing they could do to help. I did not stay long in the parking area. I quickly rushed home because I did not feel safe anymore. When I got home, my sister and the lady she was staying with were watching TV. I did not say anything at the moment. I went into the bathroom, took a bath and went straight to bed. A few minutes later, my sister came in to check on me and I told her that my phone had been taken from me. She was shocked, more shocked by the fact that I had come in and did not say anything. I told her that I was still in shock and that I would not even be able to describe what had happened at that stage. She was not having that. She sat down and said, "Well, I can't pretend like everything is fine. You must talk. I need to know what happened. It cannot wait until later. Start from the beginning. What happened?" I told her everything from the beginning. I had to catch a breath here and there, but I managed to tell her what had happened. She tried to comfort me and told me that it was just a phone. We could buy a new one and that I should be grateful that I did not get shot or stabbed. A phone is replaceable. We spoke for a while and she told me that she understood very well because she had been going through two similar ordeals herself. She spoke about the events that had taken place when she got robbed. She had told me about them before, but this time I could relate. I felt much better knowing that someone understood. She then left me alone to sleep, but I never slept that night. I kept replaying what had happened in my mind and I felt so angry. I was angry at myself and that evil man. I was angry at myself for being kind. I should have walked away and raised my middle finger as soon as he has to make a phone call. I should not have been kind. I went as far as buying airtime. Why did I not think to say I did not have airtime? He had my phone and my airtime, my pictures, my memories, my life. Why did I not offer to make the phone call on his behalf? Why did I give him my phone? I gave him my phone. I willingly gave him my phone. He did not force me to give it to him. I willingly did that. How could I be so stupid? I felt so mad at myself. That man made a fool out of me and I let him. My heart raced throughout the night. I got up various times to drink some water. I thought that water would help slow down my heartbeat. I put my hand on my chest and rubbed it gently. I was trying to tell my heart to stop racing so that I could sleep. I needed my towel. I had left it at home in the Eastern Cape. I tried to use one of the towels in the house, but the other towels did not work. I needed my towel. The one I had gotten used to. It was not there. My heart did not stop racing until morning came and I had to get up. I got up the next morning and went to work. I felt tired from not sleeping, traumatized from what had happened, and just sick to my stomach, but I had to go to work. I also had to find another way to get through the ordeal because I was not going to be able to bombard her. I took time off work for a few days and I managed to buy a phone 2 days after I got robbed, which made things so much better. I felt improved with time. To be honest, I'm a fighter. It does not matter what I may go through. It does not matter how I may feel. I will always fight to be okay again. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes I just need to cry. Sometimes I just need my towel, but I will be okay. My towel becomes my glove in a boxing match. To fight, I will fight, but it feels so good to have something to help me fight. I gave myself a chance to go and open a case at the police station, and that was the end of it. I knew when I went to report the case that nothing would materialize from it. That man would probably not be arrested. However, I opened the case hoping that if that man did the same thing to other people, then the cases would pile up against him. I never heard from the police regarding this case again. I continued to go and jog at the same spot. I was much more careful this time. My sister did not like the idea, but I was not going to allow that bad man to stop me from doing what I love. He might have robbed me of my phone and my happiness for a moment, but I was going to win. I was going to continue doing what I love and where I wanted to do it. I was going to continue to jog by the beach or the beach parking. We're going to give you a bonus chapter this week, which is chapter 8, titled Marriage. Marriage. 3 years later, my boyfriend and I decided that we were ready to tie the knot. The idea of marrying the love of my life and best friend made me feel so excited. I'd met his family already and I loved them. His mom, 2 sisters, and 1 brother. I knew who I was, and I knew that I would have to pick my husband well. I'm not a domesticated woman, and if I was going to marry a black South African man, whether Tswana, Venda, Xhosa, Zulu, or Pedi, there were certain things I would need to be able to do as a wife. I would have to know how to bake homemade bread, how to cook outside with 3-legged pots, how to brew umqombothi, a traditional beer made from maize. Sometimes it goes as far as the makoti having to wake up early to boil water using the 3-legged pots because the family prefers their tea water with the smell of smoke from boiling outside. Or having to wear makoti attire, which consists of wrapping your head, a long skirt, a long sleeve top, or at least one that covers the elbows, a shawl wrapped around the waist. Every day the makoti must wear this if they're at the husband's homestead. If they're at the city working, they can wear ordinary clothes but cannot be seen by the husband's family like that. I could never live like that at all, and I did not know how to do all the domestic work that makotis are required to do. Of course I could learn, but honestly, I'm too lazy to do those things. Growing up, I always had someone to wash dishes and clean the house. I just had to make my bed, bath, eat, and go play. I washed the dishes here and there and swept the floor now and then. At some point, we did not have a washing machine, but someone would get hired and paid to do the laundry. As a result, I only started doing my laundry much later in life, around when I went to boarding school. I learned to cook at a young age. My mom was so adamant that I had to learn to cook because one day I'll get married and would have to cook for my husband because the way to a man's heart is through the stomach. We always had a bread making machine, so I never had to bake bread. Being the person that I am and having been raised the way that I was raised, I knew that it would be a challenge to get married to an African man whose family would require me to go all out with domestic work. I am not that type. Not only was I not raised like that, but I just did not enjoy doing that kind of work. I am an unapologetic, uncompromising Damsaka with the pierced nose. I cannot stand clean toilets in the villages, and I'd rather we eat pizza during umgidi than burn in the sun cooking the 3-legged pots. I would never survive in a village as a makoti, or maybe I might survive, but I don't want to have to. So what was I going to do? I wanted to marry this man, but I had all these issues. I am so sensitive. What if he breaks my heart? What if he changes? Those questions caused me considerable anxiety, but I was much more excited about marrying my best friend than I was anxious. Because I had met his family, I had an idea of what my life would be like. I knew that I would not be required to be a domesticated Makoti because my in-laws were just cool. I would still be a Makoti but not as domesticated. We decided to get married and we had a small traditional ceremony where I was welcomed into my husband's home and given a new name. I was named Zizipho Penelope, the gifts of love. For some reason, this name made me feel like everything was going to be okay. I felt like my in-laws were only asking that I love them. It is common for new brides to be given new names based on what the family feels the bride is destined to do or be in the family. The likes of Nokukhanya, which means the light of the family. Alake means to build the family, and Sonwabise means make us happy. I was Zizipho Penelope, and my duty was to love my in-laws, which was not a difficult task that came very naturally to me. After I was welcomed into my husband's home as his wife, my mother-in-law told me that she welcomes me as one of her children. She reassured me that I would be treated like a children. She assured me that I was home, and she said that I did not have to wear Makoti attire, and I did not have to be the first to wake up in the morning. Everything about my husband's family made me feel at home. My in-laws accepted me as I am. Above all else, they accepted that I'm a thumbsucker. My husband also supported my journey. I do not take their support for granted. It means the world to me. I never even used my towel in the process of getting married. I was supposed to be more excited. I never even used my towel in the process of getting married. I suppose I was more excited than anxious. That was the end of our bonus chapter that was titled Marriage. On Friday, we will be reading chapter 9 titled Unemployment, Employment, and a Fresh Start. Continue liking and following the Informer. See you on